Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a roster update video, and we are on the eve of a Grand Arena lock-in, so we have some work to do. Now, our standard format, we got our marquees and unlocks. Not too much with this today because we are in between marquee characters. We got Shin-Hati showing up later this week, and we just had the Great Mothers, but we are going to look at gearing related to some of those squads. Major project progress, we're working towards Balen Skull and GL Ahsoka. A lot of prep work happening in that direction. Now, Krons, we're going to do some of that today. Datacron and Omicron related actions, and then weaknesses and raids. I'm pretty satisfied with how my raid teams look right now. Maybe I'll show you them real quick, but I am going to be making some changes for my guild in relation to territory battles, and also looking to make some changes to strengthen squads that we are trying to utilize. Now, last week when we did our roster video, I overlooked something. When I was gearing up the Great Mothers, dropping their Zetas, I didn't notice that the Great Mothers actually gave me my 300th Zeta, and it's something that I really ought to be memorializing on a regular basis, and we did it with my 100th Zeta, which was SWGOH. We had a whole thing about it. You can go watch a really old talk video about it. But when it came to the 200th Zeta, I didn't notice. When it came to my 100th Relic, I didn't notice. It's something I want to make some changes for, and I did actually go back into my history to figure out what my 200th Zeta was and my 100th Relic. And the answer to both was Jabba. Jabba was the 100th Relic, and Crime Lord, this was my 100th Zeta, or 200th Zeta. So even though we didn't do anything fun for the 300th Zeta, we are getting pretty close now to my 200th Relic. Right now we are at 186. So in the coming weeks, sometime before the end of the year, we will be hitting that milestone, probably somewhat related to the GL Ahsoka and Balen Skull requirements. We're going to try and do something fun with that. We will take one of those characters that I would love to have relics, but I continually put off, or maybe even a meme relic. We'll go after something and do something special with that 200. And moving forward, I'm going to try and do a better job of noticing these milestones, and we can point them out and highlight them, because I also hit like 11 million GP. Didn't say a word, didn't even notice. But here are my favorited characters. You can see some of these things have been favorited for a long time. We're not going to work on all these things, but they're the items I don't want to forget about. And before we start dropping gear, the context of the Horde, where we're in a pretty good spot, but I'm actually a little bit lower on signal data, pretty good position. This will be fairly quick, but it's because I put in a bunch of luxury things in this column related to what we're going to be doing today. Some territory battles, some Datacron, and some other squad relics. This is the Balen Skull requirements. We'll be updating this once we see Shin-Hati's requirements in a couple days. This video will probably be up after that. And then this is all the known quantities for Ahsoka, and then the relics that I would love to get to, that we're not going to even touch any one of these. Here is the status of our recent marquees, along with the current status of our projects. Most of this we have time on, so I'm not going to make any changes to some of these characters, plus some of this includes my speculation, where we've got speculation videos for the Ahsoka requirements. But one thing I do want to do is this Great Mother squad. I want to start working on it. Couple reasons why. My guild didn't ask me to do Acolyte, but I'm not going to be surprised if I end up doing Acolyte for my guild to high relics, and I don't think I'm actually going to mind it, because this is the Night Sister squad that I want to be utilizing in order to accomplish the territory battle mission. I do not want to be using the squad. I want to keep some of those characters without any relics. So today, I'm going to take up Spirit, or just take them to relics. I don't think I'm going to go to a meaningful level. We can't utilize this squad yet. We can't put Datacrons on. I just want to start moving some resources to the side so that I can have a better... I don't have to be budgeting for this kind of stuff. I just want it off the board. So Acolyte, Spirit, they're 2 relics now. Now Talia, in all likelihood, we're going to end up doing, but until 5v5 or some of these characters are farmed up, there's no point to doing it. There's at least a lot of significance to doing Spirit and Acolyte, where they're clearly part of the team, they have very valuable mechanics, and when it comes to a character like Spirit, I wanted Spirit at relics for a long time anyway, because Spirit's a major threat at relics. And Talia, even though she has some utility on the squad, she's a character that I would like to put off just because we don't know what is going going to happen here. She's not a perfect fit. She's fine. She works, but it's in all likelihood we're going to do it, but I'd like to give myself as much time as possible to not do it. And so far, I really like the potential of that Great Mother squad. I know there's a lot of talk about that Datacron. That Datacron isn't a true illustration of anything that's going to expire eventually, but the squad without the Datacron I like. I'm going to be going after it pretty quickly. The other stuff we'll be working on today related to our marquees is we got stars to add to Night Trooper. We're going to take him up to 6 stars. I'm farming him fast. I really love this Enoch squad. I think it's really strong. This will be a nice little boost. Or is it just 5 stars? Or 5 stars? I don't know why I thought 6 stars. Well, you know what? The 4th star kind of threw me off on my counts. And you know what? What's this Cairo do? Strength and potency. It's not much. I could do it anyway. Hopefully we get the next one of these recent requirements. I think it'd probably be Morgan Elsbeth then. Will be farmable this week with the addition of Sheen Hadi. Now, Datacron, here's the rough tiering of how I'm looking at these characters. Now, this is not in terms of quality, just more in utility towards my own roster. And these are the Datacrons I was able to collect during Conquest. You see, I did very well because this was a pretty easy conquest. I wish we could go through these side by side, but just quickly talk about them. We got Asajj. This one I'm probably not going to use because I don't have a fully relic squad for it. Now, next we got Cass. This one I will use. I don't think it's very good. We've got a Dark Trooper one. I do think this one is okay, but it's just going to be superseded by the Moff Gideon Kron, which is much better. Then we also have the Paradia Judge Death. This one I don't really care about. Enox is better, but I can't utilize either of them until they're at relics, but I am going to have them on hand. Ethkoth, this is clearly a good one. I'm just not taking my Eth up to relics for it, but I'll either re-roll it when I get more mats or we'll just hold on to it for no reason. We got Luthen. We got Master Qui-Gon. This one I was happy about. We got the ones that I really wanted to have. This zombie one's going to get re-rolled. Hopefully we get Elsbeth with it. That's what I'm targeting. Plo, this is one I'm really debating about what I'm going to do. Like, do I want to re-roll this or... because I already did re-roll it. I re-rolled to it from an Ethkothkron, hoping to get Master Qui-Gon. That's why we're at 40 on the re-rolls. I'll probably end up keeping it. I'm not 100% on whether or not I'm going to add relics to him. I'm kind of holding out hope that he turns into a requirement for GL Ahsoka. There's other reasons to do it because he has a ship. We've got the raid. There is the incentive to consider it, but I'd like to put it off if I can. And then, of course, we have Shakti, which I had from the previous week in video. But the gearing that I need to do, and I wish I would have done it last week, is I took him to... He was at Relic 3. I need to take him to Relic 5. I couldn't utilize the Kron fully because I just neglected to notice and just forgot he needed to be at Relic 5 to have the full utility of the Kron, which was disappointing because I wanted to test this thing out. I took everything off of defense so that I could do it, and I couldn't do it. Which is also true for Dark Trooper, who I think I'm going to ignore this one. Actually, we're not. Let's just do it because the way that I've been using him, he's on a different squad in 3v3. So I can actually utilize the Kron in a 3v3 context. Because I'm using them with like Veers in 3v3. Although I gotta look at the rest of the Kron to see if it makes sense to pull them away from remnants. Now, I was trying to get Stormtroopers. I don't think it's great. I didn't get it. And we have Luthens. And Luthen is one that is very good. I do have it marked in this tier for close, which is where squads aren't ready. And in terms of Luthen, I had Baze already at Relic, so I tried that out as my squad for him. And I learned a very important lesson. In 3v3, I do not want a tank present, and in 5v5 we'll see how I feel about it, but that's not enough. So the Chirrut one, I was always going to take Chirrut up to Relics, but I was going to wait until 5v5 or see if I could. Now I know I can't. Chirrut is coming up to Relics. Right now we're going to be able to put him onto the squad so that he can be my Rogue One character paired on this Luthen squad that we're utilizing, and I liked it. It was doing a lot even without the level 9 ability. Because I didn't have the level 9 ability last week. I re-rolled that after Territory Wars. Plus, now we will have our squad for 5v5. Katarn, I'm still figuring out how I feel about him. Maybe I'll do some Grand Arena testing. It's just not Grand Arena testing, Squad Arena testing, but without the Omicron, Saw's Omicron, active in Squad Arena, it's really minimal things that we're learning. But they did solid. There were some limits to what we could beat in 3v3 with Luthen. Like, I couldn't beat Radis, but I did beat the other squads I attempted up against. I went up against a Kelleran squad with the Ethkoth Kron, no problem. And the other thing I beat was a Dash squad, which was also no problem. They crushed it. Although, well, I did lose Bays up against Dash. In terms of these other Krons and related squads, K2SO is one that I'm somewhat considering, because one of the things that we are getting to is we have a number of squads where I'm 1 or 2 relics away, and K2SO is in that position where now if we're pulling away my Rogue One characters from my Radis squad into a Saw squad or into a Mon Mothma squad or even a Leia squad, it's leaving me in situations where my Radis squad doesn't have a full set of Rogue One characters, which makes K2SO more important to consider, but not for now. One last Datacron thing though is Stormtrooper Han. This I didn't even really want to do today. I don't even really want to do at all, but I took him to Relics already for his Datacron, always intending to do this. I just kept putting it off and off, but no, if I was going to drop the Kairos, I just need to take him to Relic 5 and utilize his Kron. We already have it. I've been giving it to other characters. I think we're going to give it to him and maybe swap out one of my defensive teams, maybe try a Sana squad or something. I know there's something going on with Sana and Rolo, like Rolo lead. I don't know all the particulars if that includes Han or not. Maybe we'll look. I know that's probably going to get nerfed, but not really what I wanted to do with my signal data and some of my resources, but I think it was important to do. And now it gives me another squad that I can drop Krons on. And that takes us to territory battles. This is just addressing weaknesses and other things. I told my guild I would take the bullet for Sign of Django to Relic 8. Hopefully he gets better. Maybe I'll consider some of these Amis, but he's not too impressive of a character. But I do hold out hope that because he's a conquest character that he will get better over time. And I also volunteered in the guild to do Jolie. And this one, I was considering taking him to Relic 7 anyway, because I don't think Relic 5 really cuts it anymore for him. He seems very fragile at Relic 5, where before that was plenty to do things like a Grievous counter or go up against like Qui-Gon Jinn teams, and I don't feel like that anymore. So Relic 7, that was going to be some like luxury goal. I didn't mind accelerating that goal, but now it means we're pushing him 1 relic level further to help out the guild, and that, at that point, that's not a huge amount. Like, that's why I'd already volunteered to take my Sign of Django up to Relic 7 a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but several months ago. And pushing it 1 level isn't a huge deal. And those are the major items I wanted to address, but one thing that I want to do to wrap up this video is take one look at this list of squads which collected all the characters that I wanted to work on in some capacity, one reason or another. There's a whole collection of different characters. I'm going to overhaul this. We've made a number of changes now where I'm satisfied with some of these characters where they're at. Some of them I just wanted to take to Relics or something like Luminara for the raid. Like, she doesn't need to be part of this list anymore. So I thank you for watching and invite you guys to leave the video now, but I think we're just going to update this for the rest of the video. Just a couple minor things here. I just think it might be a little bit interesting for some of you guys. So Sith characters, we've accomplished this goal for the most part. I am satisfied with where Traya and Nihilus are for the moment. Cyan, because he's a tank, I wouldn't hate taking him further. And since this is a Sith related thing, maybe this is where he'll stay. But Talon's a character who I would like to bring to high relics. Relic 7 minimum. I don't think I would mind Relic 8. And Melgus, he's a clear Relic 8 character. I'm gonna just shuffle some of these guys around. Cyan for the moment may get to maintain this status. Bane obviously is a character that I really want to get up higher. I think for the moment that's where that's going to stay. Actually, we need to add Lord Vader to that final slot. This event portion, this is kind of not completely accurate, but Jedi Knight Luke's, he's done. He got up to Relic 8. He doesn't need to be there anymore. Skywalker, the same deal. Could technically bring him to Relic 9, but we're not really in a position in my roster to consider those kinds of moves. I think I want to pull out Conquest characters. I think we're only going to do a couple more of these. The Jedi, we're going to just swap and Plo. Luminar is done. And you know what we're going to do? Let's just wrap up Ethkoth. No, well, it's not Ethkoth. Ezra. We'll do that in the next video. That's good for the moment. I'd like to get Cal Kestis up to Relic 8, Jedi Knight Revan up to Relic 7. But I think we'll wrap it up here. I'll do the rest on my own time once I think about it. But you'll be able to see that in the next video. Hopefully Shin Hati does some pretty fun things, but it will probably be a couple weeks, maybe a month before we really get to see what she can do, since she's technically the first character of a new squad, so we can't really see a ton of how she's going to work, other than maybe pairing her with some Inquisitor characters to see how some of the purge mechanics work. But we'll have the talk video up there. I'll probably post this roster video after the talk video. So thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.